Damn, that last video went for 15 minutes and 12 seconds. I think I can still sneak that in without YouTube saying, too long! Rejected! So hopefully that'll be alright. 6 videos? Fuck! And I didn't even get started with Last Gasp until video 4. What's going to happen? How many? This is freaking ridiculous, Dr. Jimmy. You got to stop that. I only want 1, maybe 2 videos for 2,000, not 25. This is ridiculous. You got to stop that. Okay. All right. Okay. You're yelling at me like this cat does sometimes. All right. Okay. Universal Creature Features in 3D. Like I said, Blair Witch Project. Almost as a throwaway gag that this was, in 1999. That was the, one of the horror films that was everywhere, and it was in that house in a way. And would also pop up the Bill and Ted show that year in a very funny fashion. But also, they did something else. They had these monsters on bungee cords, and they're all bright colored. So it's already you got a 3D effect, and you look up and suddenly this guy's up there, and he goes, and it goes right into your face in a bungee because he's down right, and it seems like he's come right here. Now he's probably 2 or 3 feet away from you before the bungee takes him back up to the top. The bungee down and bungee back up. It looks like he's come, and because of the pop and the colors and all of that from the glasses, it looks like he got right up to your face, and he's on you, and then all of a sudden he's gone again. So that was an awesome effect there with the 3D. That's something that was good. That was one of the things that was a real highlight of the event. 2 more haunted houses came out that year. By the way, the Creature Feet was in Nazerman's, in case you're wondering about that. Okay, there were 2 other houses. Both were in the Earthquake queue because that was still during a time when they did multiple houses in Earthquake, just like they had in '97. I'm sorry, in '98 with Frightanic, which was actually 2 separate houses, First Class and Carnage Crew. And yeah, if you love Frightanic, make sure you go this year because Frightanic does come back, at least in 1 room in 1 house at Hallowed Past. Yeah, so if you've never experienced Frightanic, you get a taste, just a little tiny taste of what Frightanic was like. It's not the whole house, of course, it's just a little bit of nostalgia. And I really shouldn't go on about 20 when I'm talking, this year when I'm supposed to be talking about an event that happened 11 years ago instead, but since I just went last night and it's all in my head, isn't it weird that the nostalgia rooms in Hallowed Past, the nostalgia rooms, there are 5 of them that deal with past years. 1 is from a scare zone, and 4 from houses, and of those 4, 3 are from the same year, 2008, and 1 is from 1998. I mean, I don't know how they picked which years to present, but isn't it kind of heavy to have 3 from 1 year? And, well, because the sets and costumes, they still have them. Otherwise, they'd have to recreate old sets and costumes from many, many years ago, and, oh, I see, that's why. That's my guess. But it's like, huh. And they didn't want to go back and have too many houses from like last year, so 2 years ago. Yeah, so. Okay. The Mummy was the first one in the Earthquake queue area, and The Mummy, of course, tied in with the motion picture, and of course the Mummy was presented as the, dare I say, icon? Ooh, don't say icon. No. A bunch of people attack you if you call them an icon. Presenting character of the event. And the Mummy had his own house, and you would actually go through scenes from the Mummy, featuring mummification and mostly old tombs and that sort of thing, and Imhotep himself looking very much like the movie with half his face being decomposed with to jump out at you. And of course, for some girls and certain men, you're supposed to be scared, but shirtless hunk. Sure, sure his head is shaved and half his face is grotty, but shirtless hunk goes, and you may not necessarily go, ah, ah. You might go, oh. Because shirtless hunk. Yeah. There's a similar problem with Havoc Dogs of War this year. I'm sure there are a lot of people who, when all those athletic young shaved head guys and a couple of athletic shaved head girls shout at you, you might be too thinking that you might be too much, oh, hottie, rather than saying, ooh, scared. You might be going, ooh, hottie, ooh, another hottie, ooh, there's a hottie too. That's unintended consequences. Not that I think they should stop doing that, mind you. No, in fact, I think they should do more of that. They should call, in fact, in 10 years from now, they should have Halloween Horror Nights XXX and call it Naked Fear. Well, okay, never mind. But equal, boys and girls, so that everybody's happy. But the Mummy did a good job of recapturing Anubis and Imhotep and all, and scarabs scattering across the walls. They seemed like actually they were just mounted, but you heard them scattering, and so you think that they were moving and stuff. It was nifty. Doomsday was the last house. Wait a minute, wasn't that the movie? Wasn't that in like 2008? Wasn't that the movie? I mean, they did it before, but the movie didn't come out until 2000. How did they? There have been 2 houses called Doomsday at Halloween Horror Nights that had nothing to do with each other, okay? There, I cleared that up for some people. The first Doomsday house in the year 1999, not the same house. Okay, different house. The first Doomsday house was tied in to the millennial fear of the era. People thought, many people seriously believed, the world would come to a shuddering halt on December 31st, 1999. In fact, there was a song about that. 2000 party over with out of 10. Tonight we're gonna party like we're talking about Halloween Horror Nights 1999. Yeah, Prince, the purple guy, he had that song like the world was gonna come to an end, so you might as well have a huge party the night before because, stroke of midnight, we're all gonna die! And part of that was based on people's interpretation of the Book of Revelation or something, that somehow this meant that even though no one knows for sure what year Jesus was born, so you really can't specifically point to any one year as being the anniversary of 1,000 years or 2,000 years or 3,000, whatever it is. And the millennium may have been something that already happened, or something maybe metaphorical. I mean, there's all sorts of millennial theory based on some passage in Revelation about a millennium. But nevertheless, there are always people who think the world's going to come to an end for one reason or another. Look at the Mayan calendar crap about 2012. Boy, I'll look dumb if that actually happens. But then you'll be dead and you won't be able to catch me on it. Ha! But one of the things that was going on is this thing called the Y2K bug. Now, if you're a young kid and you don't remember it, Y2K bug, the idea was that somehow, because some computers and devices would only have 2 digits, 99, that the next year would go 00, and the computers would not know the difference between 2000, because they only have the 00, between 00 for 2000 and 00 for 1900. And so computers would think that it was a year that had already passed, and because the computers would think it was a year that already passed, not really think, but would, because computers are dumb and they would only know what information they have in them, that they wouldn't be able to function, because there'd be a contradiction between, wait a minute, it'd be like that robot on Star Trek, the guy that, Mr. Spock freaked him out by saying, everything I say is a lie. I am lying. Wait, it's illogical. That this would happen to every computer in the world. It would all freeze up, or maybe just explode or stop, and planes would fall out of the sky. Cars would stop riding because they all have computers in them now, and your watch would not work, and you wouldn't be able to buy anything because every the thing that they do at the store, what is that called? The change machine, the cash registers are all set up for computers now, and everything is POS and computers, and everything would crash, and all your money would be lost because the banks would all crash, and everything would crash, and it would be doomsday, and fire and death and annihilation, and the world would come to an end. Which, of course, was proven wrong. All you had to do was set your computer up to test it, and I could see it'll work. You know, just set it up a day and see if it stops and crashes. It didn't. And another thing, it was really simple. All you had to do was open your wallet and take out the plastic. Okay. On December of 1999, nobody had a credit card that didn't expire sometime 2 or 3 years later. You know? If you have a credit card, it's going to say expires in the year 2001, 2003, 2004, whatever. Your credit card expires. You've been using the freaking thing. Your ATM card, it's been going in and coming out, and you've been getting money, even though the expiration date was in '04. So, the computer's already been dealing with this shit for years. Why would you assume that, oh, on this date it's going to all crash? But no one listened to me. People kept saying, oh no, and even at Disney, after I explained this to people, they panicked and said, oh no, we were going to give everyone these credit card machine things, sliding things, to do it manually, because we're going to have to when everything crashes. And then it was the stroke of midnight, 1999, nothing crashed. But people are really freaked out about it. And so they made a house about it at Universal, based on the idea that everything would come to a shuddering halt. And so you go into the house and you're like in an urban New York or something area, and suddenly disaster starts, and there's crashes and planes and cars and blood. You're going through a subway, it starts shaking, people are going mad, the world, and clearly the world is coming to an end. To take it further into the realm of biblical prophecy and Doomsday in the book of Revelation, they would never do a house with religious concepts at Universal. People would find it offensive. Yeah, and they have people, and witches are burning Protestants at the stake right now over in the Coven. So there, but no, this actually had the scenario from the book of Revelation based on some people's interpretations, because after you go through this disaster, suddenly it gets hotter, and you find yourself going into a passage, and the next thing you know, there are demons everywhere coming out of the ground, and you're in hell, because the world has come to an end, hell has come to earth, and the Antichrist or Satan or whatever is there, and the demons are laughing and jumping around because it's the end of the world like in the end times. So basically, it was a house from your fundamentalist nightmare of the end times. If they want to make it really good, they should have had some kind of angels come and pull all of the good Christians out of the house in a rapture before you got to the last room, and only the sinners would encounter the devil. But they didn't do that. Anyway, but that was the fifth house, Doomsday. Now, I have a couple minutes to talk about scare zones. This is going to have to be the last one I do this afternoon. I'm probably going to have at least one, maybe two more videos later that I'll make tomorrow or something, but it's getting too close to time for me to go to Halloween Horror Nights in just a few minutes to clean up and get ready and go. So, enjoy these. I'm not going to post any of these today either, so they'll probably all get posted tomorrow. But you already know that because you're watching it, aren't you? Midway of Bazaar came back again. It was the big scare zone throughout this era of the 90s. Always in Amity, filled with evil clowns and freaks and circus freaks. It was the only scare zone once again because, again, most of the scare zone spaces were taken up by the parade. The Festival of the Dead parade, which that year featured a huge float featuring Imhotep, the mummy, of course. Then there were some shows. New shows that year. Well, Dead Man's Party was a new show. It was just, once again, the band set with more generic bands during regular night and some name bands during peak nights. Fuel played either that year or the next year, or I don't remember what year they played. Maybe it was 2000, 2001. but I remember seeing them one of those years. So they had name bands on peak nights. I didn't usually go on peak nights. And then of course Deadly Delusions, which was another magic show. Okay? Next video we talk about Bill and Ted, but that won't be till tomorrow morning. See ya! I'm going to Halloween Horror Nights 20 right now!